Mr. President, I have been monitoring the debate on my Repeal Big Oil Tax Subsidies Act, and I keep hearing over and over again from our friends on the other side of the aisle that if we just keep giving the oil companies taxpayer money, that they'll do the right thing. The problem is we already know that's not true. First of all, the United States has only 2% of the world's oil reserves, so we cannot drill our way out of this problem even if we wanted to. But more importantly, we cannot trust the big five oil companies to simply do the right thing. Let's look at the record. Last year, the big five oil companies took $2 billion of your money and saw their profits shoot up to $137 billion, an impressive 75% increase in profits. But did they use that extra money that we gave them in our subsidies to produce more oil? No, they didn't. They took your money and they didn't produce a drop more of oil. Despite the fact that overall U.S. oil production is higher now than it has been in the last 8 years, last year these five companies actually produced 4% less oil. So here's another way to look at it. As each of these companies pocketed our subsidies to pad those profits, they did not use this windfall to produce more oil. If you take the word of our friends on the other side of the aisle, we have a contract, in essence, with these five companies. We pay you $2 billion and you give us more oil. Last year, they broke that contract and produced less. So instead, it appears that these poor oil companies took the taxpayers $2 billion, and instead of having to suffer with only $135 billion in profits, they made $137 billion in profits last year.
Senator, yield for a question.
I'd be happy to at the end of my remarks. What a heartwarming story of Robin Hood in reverse, taking from the American taxpayer to give to the rich. So congratulations, Big Oil. You got $2 billion extra in profits, and we got 4% less oil. But of course, we're not just seeing less oil, we're also seeing the American driver gouged with higher gasoline prices. So what happens when taxpayers are forking over $2 billion in subsidies a year to highly profitable oil companies who in turn produce less? We get a double whammy with $4 a gallon gas at the pump and a bigger burden on taxpayers. How is that a fair return on our taxpayer dollars? It's pretty generous to Big Oil, which stands to profit $1 trillion over the next decade while getting $24 billion in subsidies, but it's a bad deal for consumers struggling to make ends meet. So first, the Repeal Big Oil Tax Subsidies Act takes back $24 billion in taxpayer subsidies to Big Oil, stops that insanity. The next step the bill takes is investing in alternatives to oil, biofuels, natural gas, propane, refueling infrastructure for these fuels as well. And by investing in these alternatives, we finally give Big Oil some competition in the marketplace that will give consumers the choice to use cheaper fuels and also drive down gas prices. For those reasons, I urge my colleagues to join me in getting back to reality and stop subsidizing industries that need it the least and start investing in the 21st century industries that will help us compete with China, that will create jobs, that will improve our environment and make us more energy secure. It's time we stop trusting Big Oil to do the right thing with our money and use it on things that actually make sense. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.